Hello, I'm Esther Githui-Ewart. It's Thursday, December 23rd. This is Africa 54.
The death toll from a Madagascar ship sinking rises to over 80. Nigeria destroys over 1 million expired doses of COVID vaccines. And spreading Christmas cheer through song.
We'll have those stories in a moment. But first, Nigerian news media is reporting that at least 4 people have been killed in a series of explosions in Maiduguri, the capital of Borno State. The explosions happened shortly before Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari was to fly into Borno State for official functions. News outlets say the blasts appear to have been from rockets or bombs delivered by air, and they hit near a large housing estate, a mosque, and a residential area. Borno State has been the battleground between the Nigerian military and the Boko Haram terrorists for a decade. Thousands of people have been killed, wounded, and kidnapped in the fighting. Many more have been displaced. In addition, other militant groups have attacked the region, including the Islamic State West Africa province. The death toll from a boat accident near Madagascar earlier this week has risen to 83, according to the country's maritime agency, while rescue operations for missing passengers continue. David Doyle has more.
The death toll from the sinking of a cargo ship off the northeastern coast of Madagascar has risen to 83, the country's maritime agency said on Wednesday. Mamy Randrianovany, Director of Operations at Sea at the Maritime and River Port Authority, said the ship was overloaded and water flooded the engine when it sank on Monday. It was not authorized to take passengers. 50 survivors have been found, and the search continues for 5 missing passengers. Late on Monday, one of the search helicopters crashed at sea. Among the passengers, General Serge Gell, who heads the National Gendarmerie. He was found alive on Tuesday morning.
I didn't have a life jacket. There were 2 of us who didn't have a life jacket. The pilot and the mechanic had them, so I immediately took the pilot's seat and used it as a lifeline. This saved me. I swam from 7:30 at night until 7:30 the next morning. I thank heaven for that.
The mechanic has also been found alive, though 2 other passengers are unaccounted for.
David Doyle of Reuters filed that report. 3 people have died Thursday in a plane crash in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, South Kivu province, according to the provincial transport minister, Alimasi Malumbi Matthew. The plane went down around 15 kilometers from the town of Shabunda, killing 2 crew members and 1 passenger. Matthew says 6 people were on board and there may be survivors. Emergency services have been dispatched to the site to assist any survivors and try to determine the cause of the crash. It is not clear what company operated the flight. Air accidents are common in eastern Congo. At least 27 people were killed in 2019 when a small plane crashed into a densely populated part of Goma. Nigeria destroyed more than 1 million doses of expired AstraZeneca vaccines on Wednesday to assure a worried public that they have been taken out of circulation. Emma McCarthy has the details.
Offloaded from the back of a truck in this Abuja dump site. These are some of the more than 1 million expired AstraZeneca vaccines destroyed in Nigeria on Wednesday. The destruction came more than a week after health authorities said some donated COVID-19 doses had a shelf life that only left weeks to administer the shots. The National Primary Healthcare Development Agency Executive Director Faisal Shawab reassured those wary of the shots.
We have come through in our promise to all Nigerians to be transparent in our delivery of vaccines. These vaccines did not expire before we took the decision to withdraw them. Today is an opportunity for Nigerians to have further faith in our vaccination program.
Nigeria's health minister has said the country will no longer accept vaccines with a short shelf life, citing a presidential committee decision. Health experts say Nigeria needs to triple its vaccination drive from just over 100,000 doses a day to meet its target to inoculate more than half its population by the end of next year. Nigeria has recently seen a surge in vaccine supply, which has highlighted other issues relating to distribution and hesitation by citizens to roll up their sleeves.
Undocumented immigrants living in South Africa have struggled to get a COVID-19 vaccine until now. The government, with the help of non-profit groups, has started vaccinating thousands of people who prefer to remain off the books. Zahia Kasim reports from Johannesburg.
In the December holiday season of giving, undocumented immigrants in South Africa are getting the gift of a COVID-19 vaccine. The government, with the help of non-profit groups, is offering the vaccine to the country's estimated 2 million undocumented people in a bid to curb the spread of the virus. Until now, many could not get vaccinated because they did not have the required identification, but that changed after a lobbying effort by non-profit groups. Now, the vaccines are being administered to undocumented persons at places such as this Johannesburg shelter.
Some of our people, they're not necessarily registered, they might be on asylum papers or something, and obviously it's quite difficult to access vaccinations if you're not South African, and there's quite a lot of barriers to that. So we just wanted to try and make an opportunity so it would be easy for people to get access to a vaccination.
Many in this line receiving their first jab are not South African, including Raphael Dube, who is happy to get his shot.
You know what? At the end of the time, we need to be vaccinated.
People living in South Africa must be registered on the electronic vaccination data system to receive a vaccine. The system requires each person to have an identification so that the government can track who was vaccinated, which vaccine each person received, and follow up with the individual if needed. The new program, only at selected sites, allows undocumented people to be given a unique identifier to be vaccinated and tracked for health purposes only. The response, according to Doctors Without Borders, has been positive so far, but authorities need to build more trust before the program can be rolled out on a mass scale.
I think a lot of migrants are afraid of being exposed. They're afraid that if they go out to go and get vaccinated, then they might become subject to law enforcement. They're also worried about their information being shared with Department of Home Affairs. So as far as possible, we're hoping that the Department of Health can institute a process that, of course, achieves the legitimate public health goals that they are trying to pursue, but also that protects the anonymity of migrants, and that vaccination should not be an excuse for Department of Home Affairs to unduly crack down on migrants.
UN agencies report 1 billion people are on the move because of conflict, violence, and climate change. Officials say governments and aid groups must work together to ensure everyone has access to the vaccine to help bring the pandemic to a close. Zahia Kasim for VOA News, Johannesburg.
Research by London's Imperial College published on Wednesday indicates the risk of needing to stay in the hospital for patients with the Omicron variant of COVID-19 is 40% to 45% lower than for patients with the Delta variant. The study, which analyzed data from PCR tests, confirmed cases in England between December 1st and December 14th. Scientists are racing to answer questions about the severity of Omicron to help governments respond to the variant. The British research follows a South African study which found that people diagnosed with Omicron in South Africa between October 1st and November 30th were 80% less likely to be admitted to hospital than those diagnosed with another variant in the same period. The Africa Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is expressing concern at the latest wave of COVID infections as the continent enters the holiday season. Africa's CDC Director John Kengasong says they are pushing African countries to consider vaccine mandates. Africa is seeing an increase in COVID infections, according to the figures released by the Africa CDC on Thursday. The continent recorded 253,000 positive cases over the past week, a 21% increase from the previous week and a 14% death increase. Since the Omicron coronavirus variant was identified in South Africa last month, 22 countries have reported its presence in their communities. More Africans are getting vaccinated, 325 million in all, but the large majority of people have not received the first jab. As Christmas festivities fill the air, preparing a Christmas feast in Nigeria is a costly business. As the price of a turkey, rising inflation, foreign exchange shortages, and the global pandemic dampen the holiday celebrations. Clara Frank has more.
In a crowded market in Lagos, Blessing Abba haggles over the price of a turkey. Preparing a Christmas feast in Nigeria has become a costly business. She says the bird sells for 25% more than it did 2 months ago, a sign of how, though inflation has eased in Africa's biggest economy, prices are still rising. Christmas shopping now is a whole lot because things are more expensive than before. 2 months ago, I came to the market with 10,000 naira, and I went home with a whole big bag, but right now, I'm going home with just 2 bags because things are more expensive than before. Nigeria exited recession last year, but growth is fragile, and the International Monetary Fund says a recovery will be subdued. That's as the West African country grapples with double-digit inflation, dollar shortages, and the global health crisis. Last year's crash in the price of oil, which accounts for more than 90% of Nigeria's foreign exchange, led to acute shortages of forex and put pressure on the naira. Abba's friend, Owuza Shady, is a tailor. She's doubled the price of her clothes over the past 2 years to keep up with the escalating costs of fabric and sewing tools.
The value of our naira is not growing or falling at any pace at all. So if things are stable, it's easy for us to see where we're going. Right now, nobody knows what's happening.
As for Abba, she says there will be little to share with neighbors at the traditional time of giving. This Christmas, she fears, will be really hard. Clara Frank, Washington.
As Americans enter the holiday season, the U.S. supply chain is plagued with delays in moving goods from ports to warehouses and onto stores and consumers. A shortage of truck drivers is often given as a reason. As Mike O'Sullivan reports, some experts and drivers see another pervasive problem, a lack of coordination along the supply chain.
Backups at ports and long waits at warehouses. A shortage of 80,000 truckers compounds the problem, says the American Trucking Associations and Industry Trade Group. Another factor, truckers are not efficiently deployed, says an academic researcher, because they average 6.5 hours of driving each day of the 11 they are permitted.
They're consistently underutilized by something like 40%.
Correll says the reason is clear.
The way we conventionally schedule our truck drivers for pickup and delivery, and then the way we treat them with a particularly low value on their time.
A Los Angeles trucker named Bill, an immigrant from China who only wants his first name used, visits the port every day.
One load, we sometimes wait for the 6 hour to 9 hour. Yes, sometimes very, very bad.
Do you make money when you wait?
Oh, lose money, you know. Everybody lose money.
Truckers can also face long waits at warehouses. Marian, a Romanian immigrant who only wants his first name used, is a long-haul trucker from Chicago.
Sometimes it's a matter of how those companies are organized, how well their employees are trained, how much they care about, what they're doing, and the fact that, we have to also make money.
Truckers can earn good money, so many want to enter the industry, says the owner of a school that trains truck dispatchers. But students must decide if they're willing to undertake the demanding work.
Identify if you are the correct person or not person or good person to do this kind of business.
The Biden administration hopes to meet the shortfall by expanding apprentice programs and training military veterans as truckers. But turnover is high, and another analyst says we need to ask why.
What we have right now in the United States is about 3.5 million jobs that require a commercial driver's license, right? What drivers call a CDL. We have about 10 million people in the United States who hold that license.
Some of them operate heavy equipment, while others have moved to industries like construction, frustrated with inflexible driving rules. Telling them when to sleep, for example, even if they cannot find a safe place to do it.
It happened to me when I had to stop to 2-3 different places and I couldn't find a parking space after 6 o'clock at night.
Marianne says he enjoys life on the road, but hears complaints from fellow truckers. So does sociologist Steve Vasili.
There's a lot of frustration, a lot of a sense of disrespect. Drivers talk a lot about, respect.
Vasili says truckers want respect for their time and professionalism as they haul critical goods across the country. Mike O'Sullivan, VOA News, Los Angeles.
Tell us what you think about Africa 54. Join the discussion on Facebook. The address is Africa 54. We're also streaming our broadcast live on Facebook. Please watch and share our show with your friends. Also, check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. Still to come, the COVID-19 Omicron variant dashes the hopes of Christmas festivities in the nativity town of Bethlehem. We'll be right back.
Happy holidays!
Welcome, Baal.
Bonne année, eyengai lamu. A madadin dukkan masu bada gudunmuwa ga shirin lafiyar mu, Alheri Grace Abdi ce ke ku da kamnatattun ku duka fata alheri da kuma fatar an shekara lafiya.
Maisha na Afya inakutakia maandalizi mema ya sikukuu ya Christmas na mwaka mpya popote pale unapoangalia VOA.
Yes, it's the holiday season and we wish you a joyful time filled with love, peace and cheerful celebration.
Tika ete mitema na bino banson, mitonda na bolingo kimia pe esengo.
Meilleurs vœux de bonheur et de succès pour 2022 à vous et vos proches. Et surtout, une très bonne santé à tous.
መጪው የጎርጎሮሳውያኑ 2022 ዓመተ ምህረት የሰላምና የጤና እንዲሆንላችሁ ተመኘን።
From all of us here at Healthy Living, have a memorable and safe holiday. All the best to you and your loved ones for the upcoming new year. And strive to make every day in 2022 a healthy day.
Christmas 2021 was expected to be a big celebration in the Palestinian town of Bethlehem, in contrast to last year's lockdown and closure of the Church of the Nativity because of the pandemic. This year's tourists and pilgrims were supposed to return and inject badly needed cash into the city. Then the COVID-19 Omicron variant hit, dashing hopes and leaving plenty of room in the inn. Linda Grantstein and Ricky Rosen report from Bethlehem.
Just a few weeks ago, Bethlehem Palestinians celebrated the lighting of the traditional Christmas tree in front of the Church of the Nativity. Stores and hotels were looking forward to the arrival of thousands of tourists and pilgrims, in contrast to last year's Christmas under lockdown. But then the COVID Omicron variant hit.
Because of the pandemic, we have 67 hotels closed, more than 120 shops selling Oriental antiques and restaurants closed. There are craftsmen who closed their businesses and also employees who were working in these sectors who stopped their work. We are talking about great damage to Bethlehem and its economy as a result of the spread of the corona pandemic.
Bethlehem Mayor Anton Salman says more than half of Bethlehem's income comes from tourism, particularly Christians who flock to the city from all over the world. These international visitors are now blocked from entering through Israeli airports in order to prevent the spread of the Omicron variant. Today, the few international tourists in Bethlehem are people who already live and work in Israel, joining small groups of local Palestinian Christians.
This time, it's very quiet. I think we are the only one group today from Tel Aviv, and that's the sad part of seeing the situation right now here in Bethlehem.
The lack of Christmas crowds is also disappointing to those who plan to show off the recently finished decade-long restoration work in the Church of the Nativity.
So it was not restored for like 500 years, and the roof, which you see, was in a very bad shape. Water was, just dropping down, destroying the beautiful mosaics and the plaster of the church. We have 1.4 million small mosaic pieces, imagine, which have been cleaned and restored. Then we did the paintings on the 52 columns. We had like 400 experts from all over the world working with Palestinian architects and workers. So we are very proud as Palestinians that we have been able to do this work, sharing it also with all believers, with all people of faith, but also with people who love culture, art history, and who love to come to Bethlehem and see the church in its new glory.
Mayor Salman says he refuses to give up hope on his city.
We are in the capital of Christmas, the capital of hope, because Christmas brought to the world the hope. And we are living the hope with all our difficulties.
And he hopes that next year Bethlehem will be packed with pilgrims coming to see the Church of the Nativity in all of its restored glory. Linda Gradstein for VOA News, Bethlehem.
For those people without resources or family, the holidays can be incredibly difficult and lonely. A group of Russian-speaking retirees in Los Angeles decided to do something to help some people feel less alone. Angelina Bagdasarian has the story, narrated by Anna Rice.
Cheer and optimism. That's what retired Russian-speaking residents of Los Angeles wanted their gifts to provide homeless people with.
Bright colors give people warmth. Orange and yellow, light blue. I hope they feel a little warmer. They will feel people around them care. Maybe their life will change.
For this exhibition, held in a homeless shelter in Los Angeles, California, local retirees have created dozens of paintings. Each one has a message from its author. Pearl Miranda, who has lived on the streets for many years, says she deciphered the message.
This art just pretty much reminded me that there's hope out there. You know, we can pretty much look forward to something better. It makes you feel like there's no darkness out there, you know, it's a bright life out there.
Oftentimes people have been traumatically impacted in their life when they come to the mission, and sometimes art therapy is the only modality that will really help them recover and heal in areas that normal therapy sometimes doesn't address.
Retired Los Angeles resident Lyudmila Briditskaya painted this picture. She's been creating art for years. She says art therapy helps make life a little brighter for her and others.
They were talking to me and other artists here, and it was great. Well, I was doing my best. My English is bad and my memory is bad. But we understood each other. I wished them all a very Merry Christmas. This is a time for miracles.
I was very happy that I could help a homeless shelter residents a little. It's such a suitable time for that too, Christmas.
Shelter resident Catherine Jones says the thing she fears the most is loneliness. So she says being surrounded by people is the best holiday gift she could have hoped for.
I was affected by COVID with my job and of the disability. Being alone by yourself as a woman, it's hard, it's scary. And the art today is really a blessing. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I love it.
A message of hope and joy shared with those who are struggling and alone this holiday season. For Angelina Bagdasarian in Los Angeles, California, Anna Rice, VOA News.
For many people, the holiday season means it's time to sing Christmas songs. VOA's Maria Yoni reports on this story narrated by Maria Iman
Dewa Dirga and Kit Hopkins Dirga are a couple in the Washington suburbs. Since moving to their Centreville, Virginia neighborhood in 2016, they've taken part in Christmas caroling around their neighborhood. For Kate, it's a fun reminder of her childhood.
So when I was growing up in our neighborhood, I have a lot of good memories of our entire neighborhood getting together to go Christmas caroling. And there was one family that would always host an after party with cookies and hot cocoa, and I'm sure the adults had something else, but the kids would really enjoy the treats after caroling.
The activity also stirs warm memories of neighborly togetherness for Dewa, even though he grew up in Bali, Indonesia.
Saya itu kan bukan orang Kristen ya, saya orang Hindu.
I am not a Christian, but a Hindu. But I enjoy celebrating Christmas to support my wife and the whole family. So I just participate in the festivities.
Jadi kita mendukung aja gitu, berpartisipasi.
Every year, the two are joined by their neighbors Jill and Joss Pauline.
Oh, sure. It's so much fun. We have great neighbors, and it's just been like a fun experience for all of us to get together and spread Christmas cheer.
Just a great way for neighbors to get together and have a good time.
You don't need to prepare or rehearse to join this neighborhood choir. Just bring some holiday and neighborly cheer.
I think we all come here not to be the best singers. We're excited to come together and sing off-key or on-key and just to spread joy to the season, to our neighborhood.
As an initiator of this holiday tradition, Kit also gets to choose the songs.
The first year we had a packet, and that did not work out well because nobody could find the right song in the packet. So we tried to narrow it down. So this year I just picked 10 songs that we really like. Some are secular and some are a little bit more religious, like Silent Night, The First Noel.
This year, most neighbors are comfortable sharing in some physically distance, but socially engaging cheer.
I wish everyone a happy holidays and health and
peace.
Happiness and peace.
We so enjoyed the caroling. It was just beautiful. The children were wonderful.
Thank you so much.
And after an evening of caroling, the carolers go back to Dirga's home and share more holiday spirit. And of course, some hot cocoa. From Centreville, Virginia, Marioni Maria Iman Santoso, VOA News.
And that's our show for today. Be sure to watch Africa 54 on our website at voaafrica.com. On Friday, we'll have a special edition of Africa 54 as we look at the devastating impact climate change is having on the world and potential solutions to defuse the threat. Also, how technology is playing a role in affordable housing in Uganda, improved the livelihood of the disabled in Nigeria, and spearheaded students in Ghana toward a future in robotics. And finally, we'll close with the soulful sounds of the late Oliver Tuku Mtukuzi. From all of us here in Washington, thanks for watching.